Welcome back, everyone. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm also the author of Money Boxing, which gets to the heart of where we are now. This is the fourth and final installment of the Rosy Around the Ring, where we're taking the Ring magazine article that took an attempt at comparing styles and straighten it out, not for the fan, but for the professional, for the real fighter and for the real person who makes money around fighting or who manages fighters. Okay, so we've covered the four styles as they listed them. We've debugged that process as best as I can. Let's talk about the final part of the article. Let's talk about the matchups department, where they say this style versus this style. And they have a grid that accompanies it. Grid is a great idea. You just have to have your diagnosis straight. So let's talk about it a little bit. They list a boxer versus puncher description of what you can expect and some examples. This is accurate. This is completely correct. Because a lot of these situations from the inside do not invite debate. If something's off, you just, the intel is, God is in the details, they say, the devil is too. If you have them wrong, you know what side of that fence you end up on. And when you gather intelligence, misinformation is the death of you. And the boxer versus puncher is accurate. The boxer versus pressure fighter, by their definition, it's accurate, but it goes past being accurate. It describes how things are linked together and sort of the inherent magic within the game. I consider it the high point of the article. Boxer versus boxer, this is accurate in its description on what's going to happen, but then the not knowing exactly what style of fighter you have, they take the pound for pound 1970s best fighter Roberto Duran and they list him as having the core style of a boxer. This was not accurate. This guy he had a puncher's power, but he had the fast hands and whirling feet movement, what Angelo Dundee referred to as a heel-toe motion with a blitzing type fighter. And what he would do is he could get that third step off, which makes it very hard for people to evade you. And he kept advancing, and by his peak in 1979, in the lightweight division, his peak, he had become as skilled a boxer almost as he had anything else, just a masterful fighter. But in his base style, this is another misdiagnosis. Then they talk about the puncher versus the slugger, and they're accurate again. But past the nuance and what it entails, they give an example. They give the example of a real pure puncher from England named Nigel Benn, most known for headbutting Gerald McClellan into a brain tumor, and they take him against a very competent fighter named Iran Barkley, and they list that as the example. Look, the fight took one round, and your point of someone who's willing to give and take versus a pure puncher getting hit and smashed to the ground, that's valid. But two of the knockdowns while Barkley was on the ground in that first round, Ben hit him on the ground and may have concussed him, or at least severely stunned him, and should have been disqualified. It just, out of all the examples that you had, why did you pick one that's so muddled? I don't know. It would have been my call, but it wasn't my article. Puncher versus puncher, accurate. It's a shootout at the OK Corral with the puncher versus the puncher. And the puncher versus the puncher and the slugger versus the slugger kind of mismatched because they're not sure what to do. Overall, it's okay if you take it within the framework of how a fan would. Now that we're at the end, I want to conclude this the way this article should have concluded it. I'm going to begin introducing the few advanced terms that they did. Now, an advanced application of anything or understanding, it's not some magic off in the distance. It's just a combination of fundamentals. If you can put fundamentals together, if you have fundamentals, you're competent at beginner. If you can link them together, then you're intermediate. And if you can line them up wherever and however you need to, you're advanced. In this article, in the beginning, when they're introducing the boxer, they start talking about combinations, the boxer puncher versus the puncher who can box. Anytime you're going to introduce a concept at a fundamental level, you do not introduce combinations and sequences of things that have yet to be introduced. It's an education basic, and it really helps people get your point. If you confuse them, you lose them. And you started off, to those of you who wrote the article, you started off in the beginning by confusing them, by listing combinations. Now true, it's your audience. Maybe they've heard these terms before, but you misdiagnosed the sequence of when you introduced intermediate and advanced concepts by putting it first before you'd introduced the words to which you were going to refer them to. I trust you can do better. For the rest of you, I hope I've done okay in these last 4 videos in articulating to you how to separate what is in the articles, which overall, like I said, for a fan is good, with the professional knowledge that you need in order to do your best to at least have that 75% accuracy, at least over a couple of years. I hope that's what I've done. That was my intention. Best to you all. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money Boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own Money Boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.